If you think 1984 is simply a book about Big Brother watching other people, you are completely missing out on the real horror. The real horror of 1984 is really how a totalitarian regime can influence and manipulate people's thoughts and emotions. Many people, in fact, characterize 1984 as being solely a political book, but in my opinion, 1984 is a deeply psychological novel. Welcome to This Is Your Sign to Read, a series where I try to convince you to pick up some of my favorite books of all time. One of the consistent arguments which Orwell is making in this book is that language is not simply a means of communication, it's actually a means to create thoughts. In this world, the political regime replaces English as we know it, calling it Old Speak with a new version called New Speak, which is a stripped down language designed to make thoughts literally impossible by erasing its useless shades of meaning. If you don't have words for freedom, rebellion, how can you ever fully think of those things? Meanwhile, our protagonist Winston secretly starts to write in a diary. Here we can fully see how writing is not simply a means of communication, but it becomes something deeply ingrained with Winston's emotional needs as well as his cognitive needs. It becomes his therapy, it becomes his mode of thinking, his mode of reconciling his memories and his identity. By writing and very illegally using language, he starts to question the regime and emotionally process things that have happened to him in the past. The second really important argument that Orwell is putting forward here is that reality in such a regime is malleable. For example, the party in this world constantly rewrites the past. Newspapers, records, and even real people are either erased or adapted to fit their agenda. Their constant slogan is "Who controls the present controls the past." Winston, for example, he works at the Ministry of Truth, and his job is to literally rewrite records that have been written in the past, and he knows deep in his bones that these corrections are lies, but he has no evidence for it. And so truth really starts to become a feeling rather than an actual fact that you can prove. Psychological tension of "I know this is wrong, but I really cannot prove it" is one of the most disturbing parts of this book. And lastly, Orwell develops how people in these types of societies are not just ruled, but they're actually trained. The party doesn't just use violence to control people, it shapes people from childhood, teaching them how to think, what to say, how to behave, until obedience and existence in this type of society just becomes natural. So it's really not just dictatorship here. We're really talking about psychological conditioning to the extreme. All of this is really deeply entangled with people's feelings of shame, inadequacy, and obviously fear when they don't follow the expectations of the regime and what they're supposed to do or how they're supposed to act. So I hope by now you realize 1984 isn't just plot. It makes you question how political regimes can influence reality, language, thought, and how it can all come crumbling down in a society in which the regime carefully manipulates these things.